How sociopaths write smear campaigns, narcissistic word salad 101. So this is a disclaimer. Education commentary on general patterns, not allegations about any person. Examples are redacted. Do not contact, tag, or harass anyone. Okay, I'm gonna speak fast. What is a narcissistic word salad of a sociopathic smear campaign and how you can protect yourself? This information that you're learning today from the article can save your life and your reputation. Not to mention spot a smear campaign structure, knowing the accusations are real or fake, even if you think it sounds like a half-truth. So ignoring this information will only one day backfire on you, losing potential chance to get laid for day again. We're going to talk about the psychology of a topic of the narcissistic word salad, then get into examples as fast as possible. Since I've been through a narcissistic sociopathic smear campaign myself, it always runs through 4 stages. Number 1, false accusations. Number 2, guilt trips. Number 3, pain points. Number 4 is circular reasoning. That's right. This is called narcissistic sociopath smear campaign.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from.
Honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. Today, we should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. Who, after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi, claimed that, quote, some amazing patriot, unquote, should bail out his brutal assailant. And accused Jews of controlling, quote, not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it, unquote. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated.
Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist. And I think, you know, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
A complete rewriting of history.
Never defend against it because I myself have done it. So basically, let's start reading the articles, okay? But first of all, what exactly is a smear campaign and what is a narcissistic word salad? So here's the first article from Psychology Today. A basic guide to gaslighting, love bombing, hoovering, and flying monkeys. So narcissistic word salad, NPD meaning, which stands for narcissistic personality disorder. It is being used as a slang term for a type of narcissistic sociopathic speech that is purposefully confusing. Listeners find narcissistic word salad extremely frustrating because the narcissist sociopath is using circular reasoning, outright lies, denial, or mischaracterizations of past events to avoid being wrong or having to take responsibility for something. Remember, these words are going to mean a lot. You're going to hear the word circular reasoning all the time. And when you hear every single time, and for every single article, denial, mischaracterization is false accusations, part of my chart of past events, right? Not taking responsibility. There's a celebrity called Sydney Sweeney, right? There was a recent blow up about Sydney Sweeney. She made a ad campaign called Good Genes, as in good Jeans, not good genes as genetics. But she did talk about having blue eyes and blonde hair. Some online critics try to spin the slogan and her look into a eugenics accusation. For those of you who don't know what eugenics means, it means killing an entire race and only keeping certain races there. That's what eugenics is. The far left lunatics has said Sydney Sweeney's ad campaign for American Eagle is about eugenics. That is a smear campaign of a narcissistic word salad. Can you believe it? The stuff what we see on the news today perfectly aligns. That's a textbook smear pattern, a false accusation, reframing addendum wordplay as something sinister. Then a guilt trip, implying moral wrongdoings for simply appearing in an ad. Tie it to hot button cultural war, fears to rile people up, like especially the woke. And finally, a circular defense trap, demanding endless explanation for a claim that was never true in the first place. The word changes, but the structure doesn't. This is the same narcissistic word salad smear campaign tactics. And that's the thing I've also been through myself. All right. So let's continue to the next article. This is from Narcissistic Abuse Support. So what lies behind the mask of perfection? Well, an individual with a personality disorder. And what does this mean exactly? But the interesting thing is that there are palpable apparent reflection of inner chaos of the narcissist once you know what to look for. The word salad is one such thing. It's also known as narc speak, according to this article. It is quite literally a disorganized speech, a lack of semantic fluidity, which sounds exactly like the smear campaign of the sociopathic smear campaign that you saw in the last video. And this is how you can detect it. So when you look at my smear campaign, right, have you noticed that there's no logic behind it? It makes no sense whatsoever. The first most overt sign of a narcissistic sociopath speak in action is unsurprisingly the nonsense that issues forth. It is the very epitome of verbal chaos. You'll find a bunch of unrelated words and concepts all smooshed together, including contradictions in disjointed phrases or random, irrelevant, impromptu comments thrown at you. That's exactly what the smear campaign sounds like. It makes no sense. You don't know why you're angry at me, but that you are angry because they're using a smear campaign. So basically the effect, as it says in the article, is very deliberate. Purpose of this is to leave you entirely unable to follow the narcissist, to throw you off your game, is following your logic and holding them accountable for their behavior. And once again, the word circular reasoning is going to show up a lot. All right. So number 2 is circular conversations and repetition. Once again, you heard the word circular conversations or circular reasoning. This is the most dangerous part whenever you're dealing with a narcissistic sociopath. They love to argue in circles. They make the most outrageous accusations so you can defend yourself, and they love it. These are nasty, nasty people. What's number 3? Circular conversation and repetition. It's not just about absurd semantics as it relates to words. It's also about being caught in the structural hell, completely reflective of the disordered mind. The point is never made. Accountability is non-event. In a key tactic used, repetitions and circular conversations that lead to nowhere. You see how nasty they are? This is like verbal violence. This strategy used by narcissistic sociopaths not only frustrate your argument for their smear campaign, but to frustrate you into submission, relinquishing further attempts to resolve the matter as where you're communicating to you that you are the problem. That's what they're going to do. They're going to gaslight you. Otherwise, the poor, aspirated narcissistic sociopath will not need to keep stating the same things that they have already told you. Number 3, overgeneralization. While it may not follow my exact model of false accusations, guilt trip, pain point, circular reasoning, we do have a generalization. So overgeneralization is something that you see on the hit piece. Narcissistic personality disorder with sociopathy, what they call type B clusters, type B personality disorders cluster, is marked by a set of persuasive, underpinned by certain cognitive errors. One of these has a tendency to overgeneralize, which is due to their black and white thinking resulting from something called splitting. Splitting is the inability to comprehend that people and things and events usually made up of strengths and weaknesses, positives and negative. The pathological narcissist cannot intellectually integrate these two concepts into a whole. This means that their worldview is one of the extremes. You'll be familiar with this, with the stark contrast of idealization versus devaluation and discard, for example. Within the context of the word salad, you'll cop a bunch of, you always like, John, you always do this, or you always like bully people, or you always kick everyone out. Statements which is exaggerated because of the narcissistic sociopath. You do something once, they draw the conclusion, oh, you kick everyone out. You're always so sensitive, or else you're mentally unstable. In reality, they're mentally unstable. They quit the coaching. They're the ones who quit in 14 days, do not do any of the drills. They are lying through their teeth. Let's talk about Charlie Kirk's assassination attempt. So quick disclaimer, this segment is education and commentary about how smear campaigns spread. I'm not assigning guilt to anybody. Everything I mention comes from public reporting by outlets like Fox News, the New York Post, TMZ, MSN, and then Sun. And it may change as more facts emerge. But I'm talking about behaviors and tactics, not identities. All right. So number one, let's look at the pattern. First comes the label, then the lunge. According to the Utah authorities, the accused killer, Charlie Kirk, had bullet casings engraved with a message that used the word fascist. That's like a false accusation, right? That sounds exactly like the same narcissistic sociopath smear campaign. He had the word fascist right onto the bullet. And he had the most extreme examples of a narcissistic word salad. So basically, in other words, he branded his target with a slur, and then he tried to make the label true with a gun. So rather than just smear campaigning, he labeled this as true with a gun. That's a smear playbook taken to the extreme. He accuses, he inflames, he dehumanizes, he attacks. The reports also say he lived with a transgendered partner who is now cooperating with investigators, according to those articles. See, that's personal detail doesn't prove anything about the case, and it shouldn't be used to smear anyone, but it does expose the basic contradiction. They preach moral outrage while they're practicing violence. They're hypocritical people. They're accusing me of all sorts of different things. Oh no, a student died because they accuse me of being a murderer. But in reality, he says, oh, they take alpha GPC, it causes a stroke. So John killed a student. In reality, he had a lung clot. That's not a stroke. Stroke is in the head. So that's a defamation. He lied through his teeth to enrage. This is not even from my coaching or supplementation. If I had to defend myself against his word salad, false accusations, guilt trip, right? Making me feel guilty, pain points, and circular reasoning, all those four things will create PTSD. Does that make sense? But this is exactly how smear campaigns work on a smaller scale. False accusations, like the one they say about me. Like I said, alpha GPC takes 10 years when you're older. You might get a stroke. May not. But that could be a side effect. But a stroke is not the same as a lung clot. That is so false. Number two is guilt trip, trying to make me feel guilty for something I did not do. Number three, pain point poking. They try to make you feel like twisting the knife. And number four, circular, defending yourself. So if you try to argue back, and I made the mistake of arguing back, I made a bunch of videos defending myself like a stupid idiot. I defended my reputation point by point. And guess what happened in the first month? Everyone got turned off by me because I did not post the receipts until the very end. Until you saw all the receipts. The content changes, but the structure always stays the same. So when you read that hit piece on the Reddit, because it makes no sense whatsoever, it sounds like a bunch of outrage. Just like the far left, the narcissistic sociopath, cluster B, personality disorder. So when you see hypocrisy plus labels and pressure to answer every charge, that's your cue that you're not in a truth-seeking conversation. And the Reddit post is not truth-seeking. You're inside a smear campaign. So let's continue the article. Number 4, projecting and blaming. Okay? Projecting is evident when the narcissistic handballs their flaws onto you. Whatever is unacceptable, and within them is the attribution to you. You know it's happening when their very own traits are being flung at you. Oh, you're so selfish, or this is what he says. He says, I'm so mentally unstable, or something like that. He's mentally unstable and vengeful, and all you do is lie and deny. That's what they might say, or something like that. But there's something wrong with you. You are mentally unstable, etc. Similar, any relationship difficulties must be the fault of the others, especially yours. They'll go on any extent to construct a reason and excuse to why the thing is your fault or my fault. No matter how completely bonkers their finger pointing sounds, just like the guy calling Charlie Kirk a fascist, you are blamed for everything, just like the far left. Oh no, they're a bunch of Nazis. They're all evil, right? They're going to take over and they're going to round everyone up after Donald Trump becomes president. He's been through a lot of hit pieces. A lot of false accusations. Number 5, denial and gaslighting. So this is like, there's no concrete evidence, solid or indisputable enough that the narcissist in their hubris will not deny the existence or its existence. They make bold statements 1 second, and the very next second proclaim, I never said that. Before your very eyes, they undertake an act only to hold your gaze steadily and pronounce that it never happened. You may look at the irrefutable proof, like a written document, kind of like my receipts video, or even footage of them busy at something, and they assert it wasn't me. Denial is all about protecting themselves from reality due to their inability to cope with who and what they really are. Narcissistic sociopath is also gaslighting in action. Repeated denying the fact has pleasing effect of having you question your take on reality and whether you're indeed the problem. Number 6 is all about winning and losing. Listen to the language used by the narcissistic sociopath with as much detachment as you can. There is nothing that will issue forth from their mouth that is about finding solutions and relationship building. Their verbiage will center on establishing that they are right and you are wrong. Every interaction for the pathological narcissist is a matter of competition. No matter what you say, they will engage in of words to establish that you are wrong. They do on every utterance that you make, even if you completely inconsequentially things, because to your mind, if they make you wrong about everything, then you must surely be wrong about any concerns that you may have about their behavior. Not only this, clearly, this also is a classic supply. By making you always wrong, they believe that this authenticates that they're always right. So when we look at their smear campaigns, for example, when we debunk one point at a time, a screenshot of all the false accusations right over here. You've seen this before in the community section, also on my website. The first thing to talk about is that when they're blaming me, right? They say my system rarely works. Actually, it's the only system that's still working. But I don't want to defend myself. You see that in the circular reasoning. But they said your system can work, but they talk about them having thin skin. So they lie through their teeth. They tell everybody that system does not work and it rarely works. But in reality, they say to me that it works really well. You see that? Number 2, he attacked me for suggesting supplements, okay? But in reality, he's the one who never took supplements before. He's a vegan. He made a movie called Meatless Barbecue. Number 3, he extorted me for money because he said, I'm going to strike your PayPal if you don't give me money back. And I was like, dude, there's a no refund policy. He got $400 back. We signed an NDA agreement, non-disclosure agreement, and he still proceeds to attack me. Technically, that is extortion. That is breaking an NDA, and that is also defamation. So now that you know there's the 4 traits, false accusations, guilt trip, pain point, circular reasoning, you know this is all false. And it's hypocritical, exactly the same way as the other guy who basically blamed Charlie Kirk while he also has a trans partner for the shooter. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with that. That is your choice. I'm not pointing out a group or whatever and trying to like hate speech or anything like that. I'm just saying this is what articles have talked about. Fox News, TMZ, New York Post, all this other stuff. Also, he says, I ban everybody. In reality, ban who? He's only been banned for 3 days. It's hypocritical. So now you know that he's lying through his teeth. Also, he says he's not depressed. I'm gaslighting him. His audio sounds really depressed. And also, he actually says he's very depressed. On the very first post, can you help a hard case? I've been trying game for years to feel depressed for having little to no results. He tried Mystery, Justin Wayne, and his self-proclaimed high leg count guy, and had nothing consistently works. For day game, he never got laid from it. He only showed up for 14 days before he quit in 2 weeks. But he blamed me. He never told people that he quit. He says he did not get laid or pulled. He actually did not even finish the mindset playlist that other students can do. There's like 3 phases. But that's not the point. The point is that everything he's written is a narcissistic sociopath smear campaign. So that's the thing. Number 7, narc rage. This is a bad baby, is horrifying. In the true sense, narcissistic rage is the fury that is sparked by being unmasked. He has a narcissistic mask, a sociopathic mask. Whenever you unmask these people, they lose their minds. It's almost like you see the demonic person that is underneath. So it's a fury that's sparked by being unmasked, being found out. So I call this narcissistic injury. All right. These articles only support my hypothesis of false accusations, guilt trip, pain point, circular reasoning, being found out, right? Unmasked, or realizing another sees through them for what they really are. And more than this, their own flash of insights that underneath their denial, the very opposite of superior, always right, omnipotent, and always in control. That means that's not true. And this moment of comprehension is the narcissist injury that flips the switch on white hot fury, expresses from the verbal through the physical aggression. So here's the thing. Narcissistic rage is a very real thing. Remember, though, the very Narc survival is built on this cunning and manipulation, and they learn the impact that this rage has, and that any bully that will also feign Narc rage to intimidate you into submission. So how to overcome the rot of the word salad? The narcissistic sociopath word salad. The word salad is used intentionally by the pathological narcissist to manipulate in the form of gaslighting so that you question yourself rather than continue questioning them. So basically they're saying that they're bullying you, so you'll be blaming yourself, torturing yourself. So recognize that no amount of questioning or discussion with a narcissistic sociopath will ever lead to a positive outcome. That's why I just stopped talking with them. Why even bother? You can't win an argument because they cannot wait to have you defend against it. They're sadistic people. Go defend it. I made an accusation. Now go make another video defending it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to point out the patterns here. Basically, the only way forward is to stop questioning yourself, hold the truth in for yourself with gratitude. So that's the first article from Maggie McGee for narcissisticabuseupport.com. All right. And we're going to go over to the second site. The second article, FloridaWomen'sLawGroup.com. The narcissistic word salad. Almost everything a narcissist does is about manipulation. Remember, this is a lawyer, okay? They are always manipulating someone, whether it's a spouse, friend, relative, or coworker, to feed their ego and replenish their supply. So this is called narcissistic supply. Some people can see right through them, but unfortunately, most get caught up in their cycle of abuse. If you have a narcissist in your life, then you know that arguments, even constructive conversations, can be brutal and can make you feel as if you're going crazy. It's because they are manipulators and purposefully twist any conversation to maintain control over other person and deprive them of a voice. The narcissist, a word salad, the whole smear campaign was fake. It's like fake news. So the narcissists use a word salad. They are confronted with something that they do not want to talk about, or if they're being called out. So you may have questions about their behavior or their relationship. It is not a matter of who started it. They twist your words, exactly what happened. They take the word and twist it. Confuse you to the point where you're doubting yourself and your belief. How to tell if you've been a victim of word salad. The flashing neon sign is that if you're in the word salad conversation, is that you feel as if the narcissist is talking in circles and keeps bringing up the same things over and over again. Oh no, John's evil, right? Unstable, he killed another student or something like that. Or, he's racist, or, it's like literally everything. Only a few students got laid in the account for most of the testimonials. All fucking lies, as you can see. You think they make a point and it has been resolved, and a few minutes later, they bring up the same thing again. After the thread been taken down, they do the same thing, making the exact points, word for word, with a different account. They're trying to keep you engaged and keep it going so you're frustrated, accept blame, and end the conversation. Well, that's why I'm making this video, because now people know what a narcissistic sociopath word salad is. So they keep trying to make you engage in going, so you get frustrated. They'll throw random words and comments into the conversation that has nothing to do with what you're talking about and make no sense. This is to throw you off and distract you from a point that you're trying to make. This confuses you and gets the conversation off in tangents that deflects from the main point. This is more like the conversation word salad from a narcissistic sociopath. However, the smear campaign is written the same way. This is why it makes no sense whatsoever. They started saying words like churn, which makes no sense, and the students don't get results. It's like, I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. I can post 669 latent post testimonial screenshots in the community section easily. I may do that starting tomorrow. Every single day, we'll post like a new student being late. Like, we'll start with the older ones and we'll work our way up. I'm the only coach who's still getting students late with recent stuff. Other dating coaches using romantic flirts and stuff like that, and alcohol maxing, heavy bedroom emasculation, they never got a student late since 2021. This lawyer, however, is speaking the same language. How could I figure this out? Because this pattern happened all the time. Every single 100 latent post testimonials, I'm up to 669. Every 100, I get like 12 people that suicide bombs the shit out of my business, and I block them right away before they start attacking. If you try to answer the word salad, these demons, right? Worse than the far left will come and they'll start trying to talk with you more, kind of like talking to a Ouija board of demons, and they'll go fucking fuck you up. That's the truth. So a narcissist making excuses and accusations. A narcissist is never wrong and nothing is ever their fault. Well, exactly. If you confront them about something they said or something hurtful, they will have a handful of excuses to explain it. Usually the reason is because something you did. Therefore, they turn it back on you and blames you for their bad behavior. They are very good at projection and accusations. They will hurl insults that are really their own fault, which is mentally unstable, which is failures. When they try to say my students fail, is not true. Most of them succeed. It's ridiculous because in the past, there used to be like 70% of them got laid and 80% pulled. That was before the pandemic and the inflation. They'll call you selfish, crazy, too sensitive, overly dramatic, a liar, and irrational. This lawyer has pinpointed the defamation they are projecting onto you, and they're forced to defend yourself, and the spotlight is now on you and off them. Yep, that sounds perfectly aligned with the narcissistic sociopath smear campaign. Exactly perfectly aligned. So, denial is the next category. Denial. They never said it, they never did it, and they were never there. Because if one account gets taken down, then they use a second one to circumvent it. You could have undeniable proof, pictures recorded. It doesn't matter. They'll deny everything and everything to make you look bad. They could tell you something and then minutes later deny ever saying it. They deny to protect themselves from their flaws. And their flaws is that they're type B clusters and type C clusters. That's narcissistic sociopath for type B with avoidant personality of type C. So we'll talk more about the cluster B, which has 4 different traits: antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, malignant narcissism, which is what they have, the evil types, the ones who are far left that celebrate Charlie Kirk's death. Those type of people who have no remorse. Then they have histrionic personality disorder, and they also have borderline personality disorders. So they'll tell you something and then minutes later deny ever saying it to protect themselves from flaws. This form of gaslighting, you continually denying something that makes you question your reality. And then when you start believing that you are the problem, the next category, patronizing and condescending. A narcissist is never wrong when they're in their own mind, right? Because they're narcissistic sociopaths. They have to win at all costs. They are superior to everyone and by far the smartest person in the room. Well, if they're really so smart, then how come I'm the only one getting students laid? Look at global game platform scamming network of all of these other dating coaches. None of them have laid testimonials in 2025 or 2024. Their game has expired, their mystery method RSD bullshit. So according to them, it will make sense that any argument that you have with them will talk down to you and treat you like a child. They'll continue to talk in circles and then get you confused and flustered. And the whole time they remain calm and condescending, like in their hit piece. So the narcissist sees themselves as the external victim. Even though they did not do the homework for assignments, they will consistently make excuses, blame others for their actions or their type C personality, which is avoidance, along with type B clusters. These word salad conversations are designed to punish you for calling them out and will continue until you give up or accept that they were right all along, which is not true. My other students have gone through the mindset playlist. They have gone through many phases of it, and they haven't even started. You will leave the conversation feeling emotionally drained, as if your concerns were never heard. They'll just keep laughing. If you try to defend yourself, they're like, please defend yourself, John. Please make more videos defending yourself. They act like the judge, jury, and executioner of the truth. And this, like I said, in the past, I used to have 12 people literally suicide bombing the shell of my business that shows up on YouTube or somewhere else before. And then when you block them, they get bored and they go attack somebody else. But when you argue with them, they'll start attacking other venues of your business. These people used to be called dark tetrad personality disorder, sadistic, sociopath, narcissist, Machiavellian manipulator. But according to DSM-5, which is the diagnostic manual for mental illnesses, They don't call it Machiavellian or sadism. They just simply call it cluster B personality. Antisocial replaces sociopath and narcissism. And also, and Machiavellian is just basically replaced with Lenin narcissism. Does that make sense? As evil for sadism, it's the same thing. They just basically use narcissism to explain sadism and also to explain Machiavellian manipulation. So the result is you end up not engaging in conversation and bring up things that bother you because you know it'll end the same way. You know nothing will be accomplished and your feelings will not be validated. You'll be convinced the problem is you. They have conditioned you to stay silent and not to challenge them. Therefore, they can keep control over you. All right, so basically that is the second article. Now let's talk about the defense trap, okay? Here's some quotes from Psychology Today. What a smear campaign is. A smear campaign is a planned effort to discredit a person or group. In this case, it's a person, that's me. On Reddit, 777,000 people. So to undermine their credibility and tarnish their reputation. Those who launch smear campaigns go to great lengths to spread stories, lies, rumors, and gossip about their victims. This is Psychology Today, which is the top articles with the most credibility, okay? A smear campaign is basically a vendetta or act of retaliation. They are a tool of those who can be characterized as vengeful or vindictive, controlling or obsessive. Such individuals also insecure, emotionally immature, which talks about cluster B personality. Smear campaigns involve manipulation, and they are often a behavior of a malignant narcissist. That's what the article says. Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, and antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, which is in a diagnostic manual, number 5. Exactly what I said. So this thing supports my claims, and those informally known as sociopath and psychopath. These are more sociopath than psychopath, because psychopaths don't have empathy. Sociopaths do not have guilt. So whenever they are attacking, they don't feel guilt and remorse. They have no feelings. Even when you tell them that they sound depressed, since they have no feelings whatsoever, they're going to deny it and say, oh, you're trying to gaslight me. These people are really insufferable. So what does a smear campaign look like? Individuals who run smear campaigns, they feel wronged and seek to punish those as being at fault, even if they quit, right? And they blame me, and they had an avoidant personality, not even showing up for the drills. They only show up for 12 drills in 14 days. They only made 17 approaches. But with so little drills, there's no change in their habits. They are the abusers who paint the victim as the abusers because they see themselves as the victim. These people are incapable of taking responsibility or accountability for their actions. They mount smear campaigns to control the narrative and often to rewrite history. Even though when they're caught in a lie, they try to rewrite history with their smear campaign. Smear campaigns amount to character assassination, according to Psychology Today. The abuser has the intention of damaging a target's reputation, and if they're successful, they'll feel like they have won. They want to protect their own public perception and to make the victim appear to be the crazy one. So to execute the smear campaign, the individual grooms other people over time, like on Reddit. That's what they try to do, but people are not buying it. They're not buying it because even my students have shown up on there and they have defended me, which is great. The individual grooms other people over time to function as allies or followers. They do this by spreading false or exaggerated information. You see that? Exaggerated information, false. All of it is false. You get it? False accusations, guilt trip, pain point, circular reasoning. While they often share private, true information, I do have supplements for my students, but it's not true that I killed somebody. That was completely defamation of character, aiming to turn other people against that person. So those recruited by the abusers to actively participate in their manipulation becomes an entourage known as the flying monkeys. So this term comes from the Wizard of Oz, in which the Wicked Witch of the West, she puts on a troop of winged monkeys, right? I don't remember this, or I haven't seen this movie before, but I know of it. But according to this movie, a bunch of flying monkeys does the evil work of the Wicked Witch. That's what they try to do with the Reddit people, because they're narcissistic sociopaths. And they put troops of winged monkeys under her spell to do their bidding, having more abuse. Does that make sense? So let's go to the next article. This one's from abusewarrior.com. Let's see what it has to say. If it actually supports all these other things I've been saying all along, or I'm just making this stuff up. Okay? What is a narcissistic word salad? 14 word salad strategies. Let's see if there's anything in common. So, have you ever wondered what goes on through a narcissistic sociopath's mind when you're attempting to talk things out? Okay? It is possible that logic, rationality, and relevance to the topic you're all missing entirely. You're probably getting a serving of narcissistic sociopath word salad. Without a doubt, this gaslighting tactic is insane. Like all the hit pieces are like that. Even all the attacks on Donald Trump is like that. And Charlie Kirk calling him a fascist is like that. These are nasty, nasty people. On the other hand, it's an opportunity to witness the lunacy in all its glory. A few warning signs of word salads includes A, the conversation is going nowhere. B, the relationship isn't going anywhere. It can't be working through problems together, is impossible. And C, your conversation partner is pathologically egotistical. Well, that sounds like it because this person is a malignant narcissist, the worst type. So how to spot the main ingredients described in this article to recognize a narcissistic word salad. Refrain from fighting from now on, and you'll be one step closer to ending the cycle of abuse. So the narcissistic word salad is a verbal assassination. Well, it sounds like it. The term word salad refers to a circular reasoning, circular wording, circular language. It's always circular for day game. The word salad refers to a circular language tactic used by one individual to ensure that the talk never ends positively for the other. It is a technique for exerting influence over another person's views or ideas, emotional response, or access to information. So blame shifting, projection, gaslighting, stonewalling, sympathy ploys, or playing the victim, equivocating, changing the subject, and putting the partner on the defensive, among other techniques, may be utilized. The objective of the narcissistic word salad is to use our own conversations against us. Though these manipulative conversation strategies, narcissists convince us and others that we are the issue and deny us a voice. So how in the world is this even possible? They accomplish this by denying us the right to express an opinion, emotion, or ideas in response to anything that they do. For example, if I say they're the worst student of the year and they don't want others to know that, they'll deny. So each contact is meant to divert, punish, or belittle us until we give up. So each contact is meant to divert, punish, or belittle us to give up and accept their version of reality. I'll read it faster so we can get through it. Over the course of the relationship, narcissist partner learn to walk a line that language divides. Conversation serves as a focal point for resolving conflicts. We may either accept a pathological worldview in which we are blamed for generalizing issues by talking, while the narcissistic sociopath person is not held accountable for wrongdoing, which is them quitting day game, blaming me for everything, and then expecting a refund, even though it is their fault for having a type B cluster and type C avoidant cluster. Or we can continue to speak up and risk greater humiliation, threat, and abuse. So what triggers a narcissistic word salad? When healthy people attempt to resolve their disagreements, the goal is to reach a middle ground and benefits all sides. This approach is accomplished by awareness, politeness, and open communication. I signed an NDA with this person, a non-disclosure agreement for him not to attack me on Reddit as he threatened me to. Because, he extorted $400 out of me, claiming that he would strike my payment processor, just for that. And he still attacked anyway, so it's just defamation. And also, this is like extortion. And also, these are multiple crimes. I have a very high chance of winning this court case. But now let's talk about the narcissistic sociopath, about the NDA agreement, shall we? So this is not the case with the aggressive narcissist. The NPD mindset lacks the qualities and incentives necessary for collaborative and empathetic participation. Any attempts to handle any situations or issues that may give you problems, regardless of how you go on about it, are extremely dangerous to the narcissist. So he's saying that NDA is dangerous. You might as well just break it. This is because a narcissist's entire existence focuses around supporting the false self-belief system they have created. It's the same fucking Reddit system that mystery method and RSD is the only solution to all the problems in day game. Because in the past, they used to get laid. For the last 2 years, 777,000 people did not get laid, and the only person that got laid was a natural. A guy was a black guy who's a natural. He claims he got laid. He shows no pictures, no proof. He wrote a great fanfic, but it is possible, but he's a natural. He's not the same as the zombies. So therefore, on Reddit, nobody's getting laid. And my students who got laid showed up and defended me, not on their post, but on the other post. Although it doesn't have my name on it. Make sense? Anything that questions a narcissist's authority, dominance, or superiority, or entitlement is prohibited and triggers defense mechanisms. As a result, any attempt to hold the narcissist accountable or any refusal to a given demand results in serving of the word salad among the abusive reactions. This article is so accurate. It's saying that even if you try to make a win-win situation, signing a non-disclosure agreement, they don't care. They will word salad you afterwards and smear campaign you. This article is so accurate. I can't believe it. So the machinations buried in the word salad are designed to keep the narcissistic sociopath from addressing a reality in which they may be problematic. To maintain their false views, they assign a whole ownership of any problems to you. That's right, they blame you for everything. This is how it works, and by any means required. So, narcissistic word salad strategies. Jackson McKenzie is a famous author on the subject of narcissistic abuse. In his book, Psychopath Free, he states that narcissists use discussions as a key means to eroding their partner's identities. He may have been the first to introduce the term word salad to refer to these circular dialogues. So the very first guy in the world to talk about word salads is the first one to talk about circular. So the circular wording, circular reasoning is always the word circular. It's not something I made up. When I say circular, it means that they say like, this is the false accusation, this is the guilt trip, this is the pain point, this is the circular reasoning. They want to fight in a circle, like they want to roll in the mud like a pig. And that's what they do. With the circular dialogues discussing narcissistic abuse, he outlines the 9 warning signals that, number 1, absolute lack of logic. The gibberish, they're talking about the Reddit thread that emerges will drive you insane. It is the very definition of verbal mayhem. That's right. The entire thing was a hit piece. It made no sense to me. I didn't even know what to defend, so I stopped defending it. But now it makes sense when you read all these articles. As epic thoughts, dreams, and fantasies, sweeping opinions based on falsehoods. Only certain students get laid. The rest of it's like churn. I don't even know what the fuck they're even trying to say. Like, who talks like that? Based on falsehoods and driven by whims. Number 2, circular discussions. You may feel like you have been addressing an issue during the conversation. Still, a few minutes later, they're discussing it again as if the narcissist didn't hear any of your points. That's right. Even though I made some very good counterpoints before trying to defend my reputation, which made it a lot worse on the thread before it got taken down, they still reposted everything to a new audience. They defend their views repeatedly as in their realm that they can't listen to you or they don't register your remarks. But that's okay. Because now I made a video debunking them step by step, literally on YouTube. My very last video talking about the narcissistic word salad was exactly debunking every single point that they made. And I think I did a pretty good job of it. This video
is in fair comment based on records in my possession, not medical or legal advice.
sir.
Redacted for privacy. I correct material errors before you Google my site. This isn't a review. They never looked at the course. They served elite access, not the whole bundle resurrections. I turned off before they tried to turn off.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. They never actually went through my course. I told them, do not start Elite 30 yet. They wanted to. And they said, why can't I start Elite 30? I was like, no, you want to do Elite Access first, break some habits, and go back to Elite 30. So they never actually seen my course. How can they give a review of my course?
For this person, in part of the reputation that goes today. Smear campaigns involve manipulation, often behavior of millennials, narcissists, and those with NPD or antisocial personality disorders. Diagnosis, psychology today.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about
medical and psychological diagnosis.
So basically, a Chinese student got laid and he got really fucking angry. Who got laid? Can you see it? This guy. You can see his marriage over here. You can see him proposing. These are all true. You can see his first white girl he's banged, a Russian. Oh, he got so angry because of cluster B personality. And I had other students with cluster B personality. I always say the same thing to them. Listen, do not rage quit, right? And they still do. Here's another student that got laid right now. He got a stripper. I said this to another student. They always are really angry. They always get triggered because of the cluster B personality, which is antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. narcissistic personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, the last one, borderline personality disorder. These very moody types. But this guy said my system can work. But then he says my system don't work on the hit piece.
But you might. You cannot clean the system skill. Just talk.
How can he quit in 2 weeks and say my system doesn't work only using elite access? Maybe he can critique elite access, but it doesn't take 2 weeks. Nobody got laid in 2 weeks, but I should not defend myself. If I defend myself against circular reasoning, then he's going to be so happy because he's a narcissist. It'll make him so much joy because of sadism.
Never seen that digital courses on YouTube Bundle Resurrection. I didn't like
This is what he says. Checking in every day. That means he doesn't want to check in every day to do his homework, which he did not. Or else I'm banned. Being told not to study the course materials. He's talking about Elite 30, Elite Playbook, and singing and breathing for a week. So he's telling me, due to Reddit's mystery method and RSD method, that I'm wrong. He's trying to say that the other stuff works, which does not work. He's like delusional. What the fuck?
no idea. Don't feel initial contact. Just for the multiple blameless. First message. Why should you let down a hard case? Depressed, ghosted, ignored.
So he said he's depressed, ghosted, and ignored, right? I've been trying game for a few years and feel depressed about little to no results. So if he's struggling, he's not the only one. Everyone from Reddit for the last 2 years with direct game, almost nobody got laid. This year, only a natural got laid. And last year, 3 people got laid. I saw all the things. That's it. The whole Reddit, 777,000 forum, only like 1 person got laid. And that guy writes fantastic stories. He writes another fantastic story that he bangs a college woman who's 8.5 out of 10 and blonde. Who knows if it's true or not, or is this cluster B, like grandiose, right? And also somatic narcissism, trying to brag about his body for having more testosterone. They're all cluster B, right? They're all cluster B over there. The whole forum are narcissistic sociopaths. But if he did get laid, and it's possible, I'm just saying.
He says that he wasn't depressed. That's not.
So basically, he has very monotone tonality. We played his audio on the YouTube live, and it sounds completely depressed, monotone, but he cannot hear it. He has an emotional disconnect. Most people with cluster B personality and they're borderline, they get triggered and stuff. The more triggered that they get, the less feelings that they actually have. When they have less feelings, it's almost like the woke far left who are praising Charlie Kirk's death. They have no emotion. They're getting fired over it from their job because they seem like demons. These type of people do not have any emotions. That's why they can write smear campaigns and they can backstab you and defame you, and they don't even care.
Because emotional blindness. Stop.
Basically, there's a term called alexithymia, which is called emotional blindness. You cannot read the emotions in yourself and others. So I can read the emotions of people. I have empathy. I have remorse. I have emotions. They can screw you over when they get triggered, having no emotions.
No ability to register mistakes. He later spun it as gaslighting. He said it first. 12 drills only. Early badges. 17 approaches, which are
12 drills and 17 approaches. What the fuck? I have all the dates of the drills.
less than 10 seconds each approach, which is literally just 10 seconds or 20 seconds approach. Skip check-ins. As he says, why do I have to check in every day? Do you even complain? Why do I have to check in every single day? As you can see in the screenshot.
That's a type C personality. Type C is the type that likes to disappear, and it's called avoidant personality disorder. Type B is the narcissistic sociopath. Type C is the avoidant types, OCDs and other different things. If there's a type B and there's a type C, type A is the schizophrenic types. These are the people that are very delusional, and in real time, their thoughts change and they see like a different reality. You know, the psychotic episode types. So that's type A, type B, narcissistic sociopath, type C, avoidant. Make sense? He's very avoidant. He has type B and type C.
Even doesn't prove failure. It proves avoidant.
The reason why I can say that, I'm not saying any individual, just a disclaimer. I'm only talking about this person who I already redacted all their names. So it's not like I'm talking about any specific individuals, but their character traits.
He signed a goodwill payment. As you see in the screenshot, that he ignored this.
Yeah, he signed a document because he actually extorted me and says, if you don't pay me back my money, even though I have a no refund policy, I will strike your YouTube and I will fuck you up. And he's so manipulative. I said like he didn't pay like $1,000 of Elite Bundle Resurrection. He only paid $900 Elite Bundle 2. I updated the course with Elite Tonality Mastery that has gotten a lot of students laid. That was the big secret sauce because he cannot hear emotions and mistakes in his voice. Tonality, because of the inflation and the tariff, your voice could sound very stressed out.
Number 6 started Elite Bundle Resurrections.
Yeah, he didn't start. What the fuck? How can you give a review if you never started my...
My full system is misleading. I think see the screenshot. This episode's this thing was doing. It was multiple prescriptions. That's all. I don't prescribe any.
Yeah, he's saying that I killed a student with supplements. What the fuck? And he says because it gives you like a stroke. That's in the brain. In reality, the other guy had a blood clot in his lung. That's not related. That's a different issue. That's not related to the supplements. That's a personal issue that has nothing to do with the supplements. But instead, he tried to make a stroke supplement for alpha GPC, which you can get a stroke in 10 years if you take it, or it raises the risk. Doesn't mean you'll get a stroke, but it raises the risk. But he tried to tie that fucking stroke risk into me killing the student. That guy's vicious. So he turns off people with a narcissistic smear campaign without any facts whatsoever.
It was unavailable optional over-the-counter items that aren't prescriptions. Only doctors can prescribe. This student never used it. He placed 2 duplicate orders by accident, both being the phones, because he's a vegetarian. He later reframed this as death by supplements because a student died. A vegetarian.
He literally has a fucking vegetarian thing over here, as you can see it right here. It actually says like meatless barbecue. Who the fuck makes a film that there's such a devout vegan who never tried a supplement in their life? And that's why he told me on the phone, John, I could do everything that you say except for supplements because I'm a vegetarian and I can get everything from food. It's like, dude, vegetables only have like 4 fucking minerals. I'm worried about the side effects. But he made this into a murder thing with a false accusation. That's a very vicious person.
Well, taking supplements, he never tried. He was a vegetarian. He's never tried supplements.
The fucking movie's on IMDb. That's an actual real movie. If that's on there, it means the movie has been sold. I'm not sure, but I need to look into it. But this is actually a real movie because they chat GPT and they looked up, like, what's the side effects?
His free medical claims. Outrageous narrative is not evidence. Number 8 bans the truth. You claim that weeks of bans. Stuck in the limbo. No clue. Well, that's false.
And here's a fucked up thing. It says, I wrote, you're banned for 3 days over here. You're banned for 3 days. I put under the red. He made it into like, oh, you get banned for weeks and indefinite in limbo. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? That's false accusations, guilt trips, pain point, circular reasoning. Banned for 3 days for accountability. Who gives a fuck? That's so short. That's the shortest ban I've ever had all year. And he says, oh, you kick out all the students. It's like, dude, I've only kicked out one student, Indian guy, who basically kept, with such borderline personality, he just kept beating himself up. In fact, well, that's so vicious when he says that only a few students equals all the 669 latent poll testimonials. That's like trying to go for the money and the juggler, trying to cut off any money from people training with me. After all these late testimonials, no matter how many I posted, right? As you can see, people get turned off because they listen to this bullshit. Only a few people get laid. That is such a lie. I'm just going to post all 669 latent poll testimonials in the community section. You guys can judge for yourself. Yeah, one guy had like 100 lays, but it only counted as 1. It wasn't like 669 becomes 769. It was never a jump. It's always slow increment. You guys can see the patterns, right? I mean, if one student gets laid like 12 times, but he came back, maybe he got angry at me because I banned him for like a week. And then he came back in 4 months and he got 3 more lays. He made me 3 more video testimonials, 3 lays. It still counts as 1. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to overcount things. I have to be very ethical. Basically, number 3, emphasizing your past wrongdoings while ignoring theirs. Bring up any of their inappropriate behavior. They'll bring up anything that you did to divert attention and put you on the defensive. It may be not significant at all. This sort of conversational diversion. Number 4, patronizing and condescending tone. They will maintain their composure during the conversation. However, you will become increasingly perplexed and befuddled as a fucking circular conversation descends into an irrational area. It's already irrational, everything they say. They act as if they're not hearing you or acknowledging what you're saying. And when you react angrily, they'll respond as though you're being unreasonable and that your reaction against them, allegedly, you're out of control or escalating the situation. Number 4, overgeneralizations, rash convictions, a lack of introspection, shallowness, and superficial knowledge about anything. Like they don't know shit, right? That they may be strewed as omnipotence are the pinnacle of narcissism. Yeah, they all made up shit, right? Number 5, accusing. Exactly what I said. Number 1, accusations or false accusations. Number 2, guilt trip. Number 3, pain point. Number 4, circle reason. Number 5, accusing you of performing acts that they perform. Oh, so that's like projection. As they progress, the narcissist will begin projecting their negative conduct onto you. Once you spend time defending yourself, which I've done, the focus shifts away from what they have done. I fucked up by making videos to defend myself, which I have taken down. I fucked up because I did not post the receipts early enough because it was a very complex video to make. I fucked up in letting people get turned off. They'll usually be turned off for many months, and that's their plan. So here's number 6. numerous personas. Narcissists will employ a variety of strategies and demonstrate a variety of personalities. You may detect hostility and insults as well as tenderness, or they may attempt to play the victim card. In reality, they have a ton of out accounts. One out account gets taken down, and they use another one with exactly the same fucking smear campaign. Regardless whether the narcissist is friendly, neutral, or hostile, it's basically their fucking out accounts. All these strategies support the narcissist's objective. Even though the narcissist appears conciliatory, this is because the narcissist believes that is the best course of action at the time and may change their conduct at any point. Number 7, projection and blaming. Oh man, that's fucking bad. When confronted with a narcissist, they're the most amusing people you will ever meet. Nevertheless, you must have a good memory and analytical ability. Confront them with direct questions and facts, and they'll wait for them to respond. They'll bounce everything off back to you without shred of logic or evidence. Number 8, denial and gaslighting. Narcissists are traumatized by the truth, guilt, and shame. And the exposure, the only way for them to recover is through offense, attacks, lies, and fact twisting, self-deception, hatred, and falsehoods. It is their preferred domain. Number 9, winning and losing. It's all about that. While you're attempting to reason with them rationally, the narcissistic sociopath mentality is preoccupied with winning, appearing superior, better, stronger, more righteous, and omnipotent. Number 10, the narcissistic rage. It can be extremely frightening. It is their fury that is ignited by being uncovered that constitute true narcissistic rage. Being discovered or realizing that someone else sees them for who they really are. Just like me, I can see right through them. All the articles, identical. Every single article talks about their behavior. This is clearly a narcissistic, sociopathic behavior. We're not talking about directly about individual. We're talking about their traits. Sounds exactly the same. So they're narcissistic rage of being discovered, of realizing that someone else sees through them, which I do. Furthermore, it's their own flash of understanding that behind their denials, they are polar opposites of superior, or always right, omnipotent, and in complete control of their way of desire. Number 11, eternal sufferer. The narcissist frequently justifies their action by relating it to something negative that has happened to them. Number 12, you begin defining fundamental human emotions. You may find yourself needing to explain how and why they did the things they did, as well as the essential principles of a relationship, such as respect and honesty. You believe that if you communicate these things, they'll cease justification. This thing will go on forever, right? So I think overall, let's just skip over to the solution. Circular conversations, how to deal with them and what to avoid. Don't say anything that has already been spoken. Oh, interesting. If you already answered the question, don't explain or respond to it. So they're trying to say, do not continue the word salad. Do not fight with them like a pig in the mud. Do not act irrational, such as shaming or slamming doors or storming out. Don't attempt to be the last one to speak. Don't wait for someone to confirm your feelings. Their feelings, opinions, and beliefs are all their own. Don't try to manipulate the feeling of the other person. Do not attempt to make them feel guilty, remorse, or sympathetic. So we cannot make them feel like they have been fucking failures in day game. So what should you do? Recognize the recurring pattern. Recognize that you're having a conversation is just going around in circles. Accept that the feelings aren't essentially good or evil. They're simply that they are. Circumstances, emotional, brain chemistry, and various other factors all contribute to the feeling. You can't control how you feel. Neither can the other person with a personality disorder. They're talking about cluster B personality and cluster C avoidance. Cluster B is just a normal reaction to what they have been through. So for them, that's how their brain works. That's the end of this article. Don't argue with them. Okay? So let's talk about the next thing, right? What is cluster B personality disorder? You might be wondering, like, John, you keep saying cluster B, cluster B. What is cluster B? So what's a narcissistic sociopath word salad? Number 1 is false accusations. Number 2 is guilt trips. Number 3 is pain points. Number 4 is circular reasoning, defending yourself. And arguing in a circle. This is verbal violence for a narcissistic sociopath. The cluster B personality types. Cluster B personality disorders are a group of personality disorders characterized by dramatic, emotional, and erratic behavior. This cluster includes 4 specific disorders. Number 1, antisocial personality disorder involves a disregard for the rights of others and social norms. That's like a smear campaign. Number 2, borderline personality disorder, characterized by the inability in relationships, self-image, and emotions. Yeah, you know, borderline personalities are really nasty people because they're very moody people. But that explains why a lot of Redditors are always moody and they're always triggered. Number 3, histrionic personality disorder marked by excessive emotional and attention-seeking behavior, like a drama queen. In their occupation, they do that. Number 4, narcissistic personality disorder. They involve a pattern of grandiosity, a need for admiration, and a lack of empathy. That's right. They have all these issues. So smear campaigns, evil backstabbers, lack of remorse. So what's the first type of narcissism? The first one's called somatic narcissist. What's a somatic narcissist? These are obsessed with physical appearance, fitness, and sexual attractiveness. Body, look, sexual appeal, overt. On Reddit, there was a guy who was a natural who just kept talking about how he's eating some more protein and he has more testosterone, so therefore he has muscles. Therefore, that person, technically speaking, fits in with somatic narcissism. So what's the second type of narcissism? The second one is called grandiose. So these are loud, arrogant, they seek admiration, they lack empathy, they're looking for status and power and recognition. This is the overt grandiose type. These are the guys who basically have this sort of megalomania. They think they're the best at something. In reality, imagine they brag that they're the best day game coach in the world and nobody can beat them. But in reality, they only have like such a small fraction of my student results. And they just pump their own state. That's a grandiose person, overt narcissist. So what's the next one? This one is called the covert narcissist. They're the vulnerable types. These are the quiet, hypersensitive. This sounds exactly like the guy who wrote the smear campaign. Quiet, hypersensitive, feels victimized. It blames me for everything. Craves validation, right? Hit pieces. Emotional validation. Lots of people that I know for students, the ones who are black-pilled or MGTOW or something like that, or red pill, they'll blame themselves, they'll blame female nature, but they'll beat themselves up. This is the covert narcissist. That's what they are. These type are the vulnerable covert narcissists. Super triggered. And what's number 6? The worst of all. Who are the types that has shot Charlie Kirk? Who has manipulated with a false accusation? Not to mention write the word fascist on a bullet while he has a trans partner. Not to discriminate or to, single out a protected group. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it because this is reported on Fox News. This was reported on New York Post, on TMZ, everywhere, that he has a partner like that. And that could be a motivation or motive, allegedly. So basically, that's a malignant narcissist. These are the types that would demonize after Charlie Kirk has been killed and shot in the fucking neck and then bleeding out everywhere. These are the most evil types. And the ones who laughed at his death afterwards is very upsetting. First of all, why are they laughing at his death? These are the malignant narcissists. These are evil people. These are like literally from hell. These are like people that are possessed by demons or something like that. These are the Satan spawns, the worst of the worst, the smear campaigners, the attackers. These are the vicious people, the most vicious people alive. And that's the thing. These guys, malignant narcissists, are manipulative, aggressive, often cruel, sadistic. So that replaces dark tetrad personality disorder. People are asking me, does dark tetrad still exist? This replaces dark tetrad. That means whatever you learned before, these were the old models of understanding mental illnesses. I'm not diagnosing. I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, but I am speculating based on all these articles. So these are cruel people with sadistic control, dominance, and harm. Number 7, which is the same thing as the smear campaigner. This type is called a communal narcissist. They seek admiration through good deeds because they pretend that, oh no, I better warn people that Johnny Lee is not a good coach, even though I'm the best in the world for day game. And they want to have this moral superiority, just like the woke. Because they have no morality like Charlie Kirk does, who's a Christian. And believe it or not, most people don't know this about me. I'm also a Christian conservative. I'm a good person. But these evil people create their own woke ideology with virtue signaling through good deeds and moral superiority, altruism, virtue signaling, as it says over here, cerebral narcissist, okay? The next type. So you have one side like Charlie Kirk and all these other good people. Look what happens. Let's look at the George Floyd situation with cluster B. Because cluster B does not exist on the right side, the far right. When Charlie Kirk died, the worst that ever happened was the other people on the far left, the Manglania narcissists, they got fired because they started cheering that he died. It was fucking awful. I didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was. I saw him once in the episode of South Park. Like, they might contribute to his death by raising the temperature. But it makes me upset that all the guy wants to do is get a microphone and debate people. Because that guy's rational and logical. And you might say that's narcissistic, right? Because that's communal seeking admiration through good deeds and moral superiority, right? Virtue signal. You might say that Charlie Kirk may have that too, or achievements or knowledge and mental superiority. Same with Bob Shapiro. However, it wasn't like he was wrong to say that these things don't make sense. And what happened when I look at my Brave browser, I was looking at all these videos of people that got fired because they were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I was disgusted. I saw a lot of people. I even posted articles in the community section of people leaving the Democratic Party. You might be thinking, what the hell does this have to do with mental illnesses? The far left are all cluster B personality types. Every single one of them are cluster B. They're evil, evil people. So that's the thing. But this is about communal narcissist. And the last one is the cerebral narcissistic. They value intellect over appearance. They brag about intelligence or achievements and knowledge and mental superiority. It's kind of like Jordan Peterson when they think they know everything. And it doesn't make sense to most people, but it sounds smart and pumps their state. That's right. When you start talking about it, the far left are like dark tetrad. And they use their sadism and their co-opted movement to have power and control over other people. These are the types of narcissists. And you're like, whoa. So you're saying just by cluster B, narcissistic personality disorder is only one of the 4 categories next to antisocial personality disorder, next to histrionic personality, next to narcissism, next to borderline personality. When I show this to my students, so you know what they say? I cannot disagree. I cannot dispute that. That sounds exactly like me. That's what they said to me. They say, John, that sounds exactly like me, all the 4 traits. And now what about the cluster C, right? Cluster C involves like running away from homework assignments, avoidant personality. That sounds exactly like me, right? Lots of people have, this is what makes it hard. When a person is an unteachable case, they have cluster B and cluster C. Exactly. Let's go to the next article. All right. Here's an interesting one. I saw this video a long time ago and I was very shocked. There was a woman who made if you look at YouTube, right? Word salad's actually a real thing. You might be thinking, well, narcissistic word salad, is it even real or is this bullshit? Narcissist and word salad. You might be thinking, there's no way this is actually a real thing. Dr. Ramani made one. See, this Indian woman is expert on narcissistic abuse. Another one, Mindset Therapy, made another one. She's a psychologist. But there's one article here that I really, really liked. Let's listen to what this woman has to say. This woman over here in this video, she might have some really important information that confirms it.
Manipulative tactics that a highly narcissistic person uses. Word salad is probably the most infuriating. And if you've ever dealt with it, especially if you dealt with it on an ongoing basis, I'm going to bet you agree with me. Read the comment. In this video, I'm breaking down a narcissist word salad. I'm going to share 5 ways that you can tell that you're being served a word salad. It's having an actual productive conversation. I talk about why narcissists use these tactics so often. So often. Seems like they were trained in it. Like they went to Narcissist University to learn how to use these manipulative tactics. The narcissist word salad is actually a manipulation technique. And although what they're saying doesn't make logical sense, especially in the context of conversation, they are putting together sentences. So the sentence out of context of conversation, you might not find anything wrong with it. It makes sense to you as thoughts or a thing. But it does not make any sense in the context of what we're talking about. I think you've dealt with this before. Let's explore the 5 signs that you're being served to help you deal with the word salad. Okay. You may relate very strongly to these 5 things. Okay, so number 1, arguments are going to feel circular because...
Circular argument. Once again, the fucking word circular keeps coming. The narcissistic, sociopathic word salad, every single one of them is circular. That makes you defend yourself. How could that be? Every single article, every single person giving advice, always circular reasoning.
What you're doing is you're bringing up a topic of discussion or you're asking a question to somebody who is just not addressing what you brought up or not answering your question. You're going to try to bring up.
That's the same smear campaign. It's all circular reasoning designed to make me get angry and try to respond to it, and they laugh.
Conversation back full circle, back to where it began, so you might actually get an answer that makes sense to you. The second sign that you are dealing with word salad is that the person's answers defy logic. Again, like I said, they might make sense when you pull them out of the context of the conversation, but they don't make sense in the conversation. So
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Whatever they're saying, the words that they're using is just so disorganized, but it creates moral outrage because it's a smear campaign.
So the third sign that you're dealing with word salad is that the conversation, it started as a conversation, but by the time it's over, it ends up feeling like a competition. Feeling kind of like you're sparring with this person. Like
Yeah, it feels like you're rolling in the mud with a pig, and they love it. The more they roll around, right? And they cannot wait for you to defend yourself, because they'll start to act like, oh, let me decide. This is what they'll think. Let me decide what's right and wrong, John. You can try to defend yourself. Please present your points. I will decide if it's right or wrong.
Continually trying to knock you off your game, continually trying to derail the conversation for their own benefit. We also get the sense they're kind of enjoying it, and
they do enjoy
the competitive side, because not only is it frustrating that they're not answering a question or addressing the topics they brought up, they're also enjoying this nonsense that they're stupid. They're enjoying that they're frustrating you. And I think it's an unintentional trap that many of us, when we're served up with this word salad, because as much as you know this conversation is going nowhere, you feel compelled to bring it back to where it started. And you feel compelled to get this person to admit what they're doing and to address what you wanted them to do in the first place. So you feel like there's a smugness about them as they're doing this. And that definitely brings out the competitive truth. And in that case, this circular argument can just run in circle forever and ever.
Because no matter what you say, they're just going to dismiss it. Oh, that's wrong, or whatever. Even though you win the argument, you can't win against these people. So you better tell them, listen, I'm not going to play your game. I know exactly what you're doing. You want to argue in a circle. But I don't have time for this. Just block them. But they love it when you defend yourself. I defended myself before in the first month without posting the receipts because it's so difficult to make that video. I fucked myself over by doing that. So you guys can learn from my mistake when you're dealing with a narcissistic sociopath, because the narcissistic word salad is their exact structure of their Reddit hit piece. Because sometimes you might be thinking, well, John made a video debunking them phrase by phrase, but now you realize they are not speaking half truths. They are damaged people. They're so fucking damaged. Cluster B personality, maniac, antisocial personality disorder, sociopath, that they cannot help but do this. They all use word salads. All the sociopaths I've ever dealt with all use these circular reasoning.
Word salad, this conversation has become intensely repetitive. You're still saying the same thing over and over and over again. And the person you're talking to might even point that out. They might even say, well, why do you keep repeating yourself? We're going nowhere, which is true. But the reason you keep repeating yourself is because you're not getting it. You're dealing with somebody who's logical. Logically, you can get them to see that. So you keep repeating yourself. And maybe you think that you're communicating well, but they're not getting it. You try to think of other ways to say the same.
If you try to convince them, this is what they want. They're like, okay, John, I'm the judge, jury, and executioner. Go ahead, try to convince me. And they just laugh. They just keep laughing. They're evil fucking people. These are damaged goods. These are the most evil fucking people in the world. The whole circular reasoning is just like Sydney Sweeney when she just says she has good genes and they try and make it eugenics. Oh, she's talking about that white race is the most powerful race. That's what Sydney Sweeney is trying to say. The far left woke ugly women that try to say, oh, this is what a real woman looks like compared to her. And reality, it's like these are very hateful and nasty people trying to cancel you. They love the circular reasoning. These are fucking demons.
Just repeating over and over until you're tired of hearing what you're saying. You still don't answer. The fifth side that you are dealing with word salad is that you walk away just scratching your head. A topic that will take you down the rabbit hole. It's a trap. And because you're so emotionally tied to it, you fall for it. And if you do, there's a good chance you won't even realize what they've done until you walk. Replaying conversation. No matter what, these conversations leave you wondering how anyone operate this way. Why do narcissists use this word salad technique?
Like a shit test again. You know how women, they give you a shit test and then they get you kind of angry and then they give you a false accusation. I'm not saying women are narcissists. I'm just saying it sounds like a shit test. If you defend yourself against a shit test, my students don't get a shit test because their body language is perfect and also their calibrations are perfect. So they never get a shit test. Even before they pull, they never get a shit test because they're congruent. But however, it sounds like a fucking PUA shit test, doesn't it? When a woman says something like, oh, do you always talk to girls like that all the time? Is that your best pickup line? And then you have to defend yourself and then you'll lose. Then she'll walk away. If you attack her back, she'll walk away. So there's only one way to sidestep this and not deal with the shit test and, you know, kind of like make it into a silly sort of thing, right? But it's exactly like a shit test. When a narcissist did that to me with the smear campaign, it is basically a shit test kind of format of false accusations, circular reasoning, pain points, and guilt trips. Really nasty, nasty people. The worst sociopaths I've ever seen in my life all use this pattern.
So defending yourself can be difficult for you to take.
Yeah, exactly. Defending yourself like a shit test. I defended myself. Do you remember the first month? I made a bunch of videos saying Latinos are bad students, and then people got turned off. And everyone thinks John's the enemy.
So I'm gonna be busy coming up with reasons that what they're saying about you.
Don't defend yourself.
Whatever it is that they're right. Good luck.
So this is a big lesson to all of you, because you may deal with another person like this. You may have an Indian coworker who's got a narcissistic word salad, and all of them, they have a Pennywise eyes, or they have a very intense death stare. The ones who does all the word salad, they look like a sociopath.
Effectively going to be able to keep this conversation on track. Secondly, we know it's so incredibly infuriating. You're likely to act out in anger. And when you do, you look like the problem.
Yeah.
And that also benefits the narcissist. It's hard to recover from. You can't bring a conversation back after that, and you look like the one who's wrong. And so if you encounter word salad with somebody you know casually, run. Don't walk. Get as far away from that person as you can, because if they're not answering your question, it's because they're using a manipulation tactic to get out of your questions.
I would just block them, right? Besides running, just block them.
It might be time to cut your losses. And I know that when you're in the moment, it can bring out competitive nature. This person is going to.
But basically what I was trying to say for my point was that every single 100 late testimonials, right? You know what happened? The very first year, in 2016, right? I started posting like, around that time, I had close to like maybe 10 or 12 late testimonials. It wasn't a lot. Then I started having fucking haters show up with word salads. They'll come on YouTube or Facebook and they'll fucking keep giving false accusations. These dark tetrad types, these cluster B, which we didn't know the term cluster B. They'll keep accusing you over and over how you're evil and everything. And they just make it up. And they say, okay, John, now defend yourself. I'm the judge, jury, and executioner of the truth, right? You block them. And guess what? After a few months, they forget about you. They go look for another target to fight with. These people are sick in the head. They're sick people. They're so sick. They're almost like the Charlie Kirk type of people that criticize him after he got shot in the fucking neck. First of all, I never seen Charlie Kirk videos. Maybe I'll start now. But if that guy was out there debating people over it with a fucking microphone, why shoot him in the fucking neck? It's like saying that you can't win this argument with their smear campaign, so you gotta have a fucking bullet that actually says like fascist or something like that, and then shoot him in the fucking neck? That's ridiculous. That's awful. These type of people, man, malignant narcissist, type B cluster, evil, sociopath. But yeah, never defend yourself. I'm just telling you how important this is. I fucked myself over by defending myself, even on the Reddit thread. I made myself look so bad because I didn't have the fucking screenshots at the time because I was too lazy to do it because I had to make it perfect before I posted. That's why it took 2 months to post it. It had to be perfect. Every word had to be highlighted.
But I've been down that road so many times before. And there have been times when I've won. I didn't really win. You know, I was always, anytime that I thought that I won, it was over something super trivial. Actually, what it comes down to is my time and my happiness is worth a whole lot more than that. So most of the time, whenever I encountered this word salad, it didn't end with any sort of resolution. There was no closure on this conversation. It just went around in circles. In the end, I ended up feeling worse than I. So really the best thing that you can do is to cut your losses. Once it starts going down.
Like shit test. Don't fucking bother with these people. These are dangerous, dangerous people. These guys could word salad fucking Sydney Sweeney and try to cancel her because she says good genes for eugenics. They can try to cancel Donald Trump, and they shot him in the fucking ear when they call him a Nazi. These people are Nazis or whatever. Like, it's not even true. They're the evil ones, the far left. Have you noticed this? And this is not to generalize a protected group, but when Charlie Kirk, when he got shot, what did the Christians do? They pray for the other people. They don't attack. And other people got pissed off. They posted like their work, right? They send screenshots and they get fired and canceled. I'm not saying that the far right did it. But other people, the far left, right? A lot of people are quitting because they're looking at these demons, laughing at somebody getting shot in the neck because he wanted to have a conversation. So what I'm talking about in this topic is very profound because this is human behavior of evil. He just wanted to talk to people and try to beat them at their own points. But because the far left is virtue signaling with their communal narcissism, trying to virtue signal to be woke, they don't know what they're talking about. But instead, they're irrational, they're delusional, and they get other people killed over and over. And they're gonna probably try to do it again. The far left. When George Floyd got killed, guess what happened? For the cluster B, they start looting everywhere. I'm not saying a specific group or anything. They start fucking looting everything and shooting people and shit like that. On the far right, what happens? They're Christian conservatives who basically have empathy and they pray for each other. Where's the fucking violence on the far right? They're turning the other cheek and they're constantly getting shot at by the crazy far left who do not have remorse and guilt. These people that love to use the word salad, and this is how they make their circular reasoning. You see this in the news. This topic is also about current events. This is article Embrace Inner Chaos, Narcissistic Word Salad Guide. Let's see what this one has to say, if there's any similarities, all right? Hopefully I can zoom this in. Narcissistic Word Salad, a comprehensive guide by Embrace Your Inner Chaos. Narcissistic words is a manipulative tactic used to confuse, control, and dominate conversations, causing emotional distress and self-doubt in relationships. Have you ever had a talk that left you confused and felt like words were mixed up and made no sense? Like the smear campaign. This is often called a narcissistic sociopath word salad. It's a way of talking that's messy, puzzling, and meant to mess up conversations. It's not by accident. It is done on purpose. In relationships, this can feel like sinking emotional quicksand. You might forget things, doubt your feelings, or question what's real. Over time, it can make you feel worried, stressed, and unsure about yourself. Learning this behavior helps you protect your emotions. So key takeaways. Narcissistic sociopath word salad is a tricky way of talking to control others. Spotting signs like contradictions or random details can protect your feelings. Narcissists use word salad to dodge blame. Writing down talks can make confusing chats clear and show manipulation. Setting rules and steering talks back helps you feel stronger in control. Your feelings matter. Don't let narcissists ignore them. Trust yourself and get help if needed. Taking breaks during the tough talks and clearing. This is a person maybe not the English is not the first language. So what's a narcissistic word salad? Disorganized and nonsensical communication. Narcissistic word salad is a messy and confusing way of talking. Narcissists use it to control conversation. They might jump between topics without any clear connections. Instead of making sense, it leaves you feeling upset and puzzled. Narcissists do this to make you doubt your thoughts and feelings. They mix up ideas and add random details and say things that don't match. This is not by mistake. It's done with the purpose to take control. Main traits of a narcissist word salads are talking in circles. Circular reasoning, circular this, circular that, always circular. All right. So saying things that makes you question your memory, adding too much useless information to the talk. They do that. Their whole thing is a word salad. It's hard to reply or think clearly. Telling apart manipulation for reality and mental issues. Okay, plan confusion and control. Normal talks to share ideas and understand each other. Narcissist word salad, however, is meant to confuse and control. You might feel stuck in an endless argument or overwhelmed by random details, just like the smear campaign. This isn't a mistake, it's a plan to take power in their smear campaign. For instance, if you ask a narcissist a clear question, they might answer with unrelated stories or mixed up ideas. This keeps you guessing and stops you from solving the real issue. At first, narcissist word salad may sound like random talking, like the smear campaign. But if you look closely, you'll see the purpose behind it. Narcissists use this style to avoid blame, right? Because they dodge responsibility and stay in control. From my works with my clients, I've seen how this tactic breaks trust and causes confusion. By twisting reality, narcissists make you doubt yourself and your ability to talk clearly. Spotting these tricks helps you protect yourself from their control. So the psychological mechanics behind narcissistic word salads, traits of narcissists that drive the word salad. The need for control and power. Narcissists love being in charge. They use narcissistic word salad to take over talks and show that they're in control, like the smear campaign. By mixing up their words, they distract you from the real topic, which is about them not doing their fucking homework assignments. And yet defend yourself, and then people don't believe you. Asking a narcissist a simple question instead of answering, they might just tell unrelated stories or say things that don't match. This isn't just annoying, it's their way of staying in charge. When you're confused, they're already taking control. The lack of empathy and accountability, exactly. They never mention all the faults because they don't feel guilt. A lack of emotions. They cannot recognize emotions in others either. But for them, a lack of empathy and accountability, caring about others is a key to good talks, but narcissists don't care. It is true. The word salad, even though it's wrong, they'll still present it over and over. They don't try to see your side. They only care about looking good because they're wearing masks of sanity, like a narcissistic sociopath mask. Narcissistic word salad helps them avoid blame by making things unclear. They're bad students, but they'll just dodge all responsibilities. For example, if you point out their mistakes, they might just talk in circles and bring up random stuff, and they'll shift the blame to you, making you doubt yourself. They avoid taking blame because they fear looking weak. So unravel the power dynamics and verbal manipulation. How language controls creates dominance hierarchies. Words are powerful, and narcissists know how to use them. By controlling talks, they show that they're in charge. This happens in personal and work relationships. Narcissists use fancy words to confuse and avoid blame. They brag about their skills, fights, and mess up team battles, creating confusion, contradictory statements, and circular logic. Have you ever felt stuck in a talk that goes nowhere? This is a key narcissistic, sociopathic word salad. Narcissistic sociopaths often say things that don't match and go in circles, exactly like their smear campaigns. For example, they might agree with you, then deny it right after. They can make you doubt what you remember or understand. This isn't by chance. It's done to confuse you and to hide the real problem. Studies show that narcissists use tricks like jumping between topics and repeating points without solving anything. They keep you trapped and unable to move forward and hold them responsible. Overloaded with irrelevant details, right? That's what they do. The trick is to give them too much useless information. John can only teach like 10 minutes a day for students. They cannot teach everybody. Narcissists might fill talks with random details, making it hard to follow. For instance, if you ask for something simple, they might answer with a long, unrelated story. This does two things. First, it distracts you from the real issue. Second, it tires you out, making it harder to challenge them. Research on narcissistic speech shows this is a planned way to confuse and control talks. Shifting, blaming, and deflection techniques. Accusations and projection patterns. Narcissists are great at blaming others. Instead of owning up to their actions, they accuse you of doing the same thing. It's called projection. So for example, if you call them out for lying, they might say, oh, you're the one who's dishonest. This shifts attention away from their mistakes and make you feel bad. Studies on manipulative language show how narcissists use blame to create confusion. By making you feel guilty, they stay in control of the So playing the victim in the reverse dynamic. Oh yeah, they try to make themselves the victim and I'm the perpetrator. Oh no, because John is the mean person, right? He's the mean one. He's the mean coach. He's the bad one, right? No, you're the bad one. You try to shift the blame to me, which is ridiculous. Let's continue. Playing the victim. Narcissists often act like they're a victim to control your feelings. They might twist things, make it seem like you're being mean. For example, if you confront them, they might say, I can't believe you treat me this way. I thought you cared. This shifts the focus from their action that you're supposedly bad behavior. It's a way to make you feel guilty and you take the blame. Real life examples show how narcissists use emotional drama to get sympathy to avoid responsibility. It sounds like the Democratic far left. Always blame the other side for turning up the temperature, even though they're doing all the fucking temperature turning. So basically, dismissing feelings to control you. I think we have enough of this article. Narcissistic word salad here is another one. This one's from Infallible Living, narcissistic word salads. Okay, so let me try to zoom in. What's a narcissistic word salad? Narcissistic word salad is a term used to describe the confusing and nonsensical language of communication style of a narcissist. Narcissists often use this type of communications to avoid taking responsibility for their actions or to manipulate and control others. They might use complex and convoluted sentences and throw in irrelevant information, change the topic frequently, and use ambiguous words and phrases to create confusion. This can make it difficult to have a clear and meaningful conversation with what triggers the narcissistic word salad. The narcissistic word salad is triggered by a number of factors, including the need for attention and validation, a sense of entitlement and superiority, a deep-seated fear of vulnerability and shame, and inability to empathize with others. Narcissistic word strategies. Number one, absolute lack of logic. The narcissist sociopath will use long, complex sentences that sounds impressive, but do not make any sense when examined closely. Number two, tangents. The person will go off tangents that seem irrelevant to the conversation, making it hard to follow and pin down the point. They could not be more like proving this article true if they tried. Literally everything is identical. Number three, circular conversation. The narcissistic word salads often use circular reasoning, where the narcissist will repeat key phrases and ideas without adding any new information. They repeat the same points in different ways without ever addressing the original question or concern. Sometimes they will even use irrelevant information to distract from the topic. Number four, contradictions. They'll say one thing and claim the opposite is true in the next sentence. Name dropping. They'll use impressive sounding terms and references to give the impression of expertise or knowledge, but without actually saying anything meaningful. Number six, focusing on your past mistakes while disregarding theirs. Oh, that's a big one. Narcissists are known to having inflated sense of their own abilities and achievements. They'll say stuff like, oh yeah, in their job they accomplished this, and they tend to be very critical of others when dismissing or minimizing their own faults. Number seven, patronizing and condescending tone. When a narcissist uses patronizing and condescending tone, they often use language that is intended to make the other person feel inferior or submissive. This can be accomplished through a variety of different tactics, including speaking in a slow or exaggerated manner, using oversimplistic language, or belittling other person's ideas and opinions. For example, when they're belittling my system, saying, oh, this is wrong, how would they know? They actually never started my system except for elite access. I told them not to go through the courses yet, start with elite access. How could they give a review? And also, the next thing is that, for example, a narcissist might say things like, oh, that's cute, but you clearly don't understand the bigger picture. Or, I'm impressed that you're trying, but let me explain to you in a way that you can understand. In those interactions, the narcissist is attempting to establish their superiority over the other person and reinforce their own sense of self-importance. 8, overgeneralization, including making sweeping statements that apply to a wide range of situations and people. For example, a narcissist may say things like, everyone knows that. No one ever would do that. All these statements are not true or accurate. Or when they say, oh, anybody can tell you I don't sound depressed in my voice, even though they do. And other Latinos cannot hear it because they also have alexithymia. Not to generalize all Latinos, but just the pickup artists. They might also make a categorical statement about you or your behavior, such as you always do that, or you never do this. This can be confusing and disoriented, and you might not be able to remember every instance or situations to prove them wrong. Overgeneralization can also be used to shut down discussions or debate. Everything's overgeneralized. Oh yeah, John bans everyone, like that, who's not a good student, and then they get kicked out or something like that. Only one person got kicked out a year. It's hard to get kicked out. You have to be really fucked up. By making a statement that seems universally true, the narcissist can make it seem like any argument against their perspective is invalid. This can be a way to exert control and dominance in a conversation. Number 9, projection. Projection is where narcissists project their own negative qualities and feelings or belief onto others. For example, if the narcissist is a compulsive liar, which is true, they may accuse others of being dishonest and having a lack of integrity. Shifting the blame is where the narcissist puts the responsibility or fault onto someone else in order to avoid accountability. And they blame the coach when they quit, saying that they did not get laid, but they quit. They don't tell people these. For example, if narcissists fail to meet a deadline at work, they may blame their coworkers, right? Or they fail to meet a deadline for my course. They may accuse the other person of doing something wrong or being at fault for a situation while simultaneously avoiding taking any responsibility for their own actions or mistakes. This can leave the other person feeling guilty or responsible, even though they have done nothing wrong. Number 10, gaslighting. Gaslighting is a manipulative tactic that a narcissist may use to confuse and control their victims. It is a form of psychological abuse that involves questioning the victim's reality, memory, or perception or events. So basically, for example, if the victim confronts the narcissist about a hurtful comment that they made, the narcissist will deny even saying it, even though the victim remembers it clearly. They may also make the victim doubt themselves by saying, that's not what I meant, or you're remembering it wrong. The constant denial and confusion can make the victim feel like they're going crazy or losing touch with reality. Furthermore, the narcissist may use gaslighting to make the victim feel like they're too sensitive and overreacting. For instance, if the victim expresses hurt feelings or something, the narcissist would dismiss their feelings as being irrational or hypersensitive. I didn't look at them. He's trying to make me feel guilty about myself. No, it's because someone's trying to describe what you're fucking doing wrong, and they're dismissing it because they're a cluster B, narcissistic sociopath who has to win at all costs because they have a massive fucking ego. So basically, this can make the victim feel invalidated, ashamed, or guilty for feeling the way that they do. Number 11, narcissistic rage. Narcissistic rage is a common trait in individuals with narcissistic personality disorder. It refers to an intense emotional response that narcissists may have when their senses of self-worth or superiority is challenged or threatened. In a conversation, a narcissist may use this tactic to confuse and intimidate you. Number 12, playing the victim. That's exactly what they did. They pretended to be the victim when I'm the victim and they're the perpetrators. Playing the victim is often a tactic used by the narcissist to manipulate and control the conversation. They may use their victimhood to garner sympathy on Reddit and to gain leverage in a conversation. For example, if you're being up an issue with a narcissist behavior, they may turn the conversation around and make it about how they are the victim. In reality, I was the victim. They're extorting me. That's extortion. That's illegal. And they try to make themselves the victim. They're the ones who quit. It's like, just because you have type C personality and type B doesn't entitle you to and expect money back. These kind of people Imagine all these bad students from Reddit, these narcissistic sociopaths. I've seen that happen all the time. But in reality, I have my students defending me in the post, believe it or not. So for example, if you bring up an issue with narcissistic behavior, they may turn the conversation around and make it about how they're the victims. I think when they see my students defending me and they get like crazy results, like one guy, he got married and he also like has a stripper girlfriend. I saw a post like that. That's pretty impressive. And he got laid like this year, recently. He didn't get laid in 14 days when the other guy quit. It took him like fucking almost 3 weeks. It was hard. It was very, very hard. He had to work and to make it happen, to follow all the strategies. It wasn't easy at all. So they might say things like, I can't believe you would think that I would do something like that. You're attacking me for no reason. It's like, what? By playing the victim, they seek to deflect criticism and to shift the focus away from their own behavior. So how to deal with a circular conversation? Dealing with a circular conversation with a narcissist can be challenging, but there are a few strategies you can use to break the cycle. Number one, stay focused on the topic at hand. Narcissists often try to derail conversation by changing the subject and bring up irrelevant details. To avoid this, stay focused on specific topics or issues you're trying to address. Number two, avoid engaging in arguments. Narcissists thrive on the conflict and confrontation. Arguing with them will only fuel their sense of power and control. Number three, your emotions are in check. Narcissists thrive on emotional reaction. They try to remain calm and composed during the conversation. This will help prevent the narcissist from escalating the situation. Number four, don't try to reason with them. Narcissistic sociopaths often have an inflated sense of self-importance and are convinced that they're always right. Trying to reason with them or explain your point will likely fail or fall on deaf ears. Even when I show them screenshots, I'll be like, oh, John's like showing screenshots where he's trying to like gaslight me, how I'm trying to admit I'm wrong and other people are using it against me. No, they're trying to tell you on the phone that you don't have emotions, you cannot hear your own mistakes. Trying to reason with them or explain your point of view will likely fall on deaf ears. Number five, set boundaries. Clearly establish what you will and will not tolerate in the conversation. For example, if the narcissist starts belittling you and attacking your character, which you've done with me, calmly but firmly state that you won't continue this conversation if they continue to behave that way. That's what I do. I tell them before, like, I'm just going to block this conversation. We can spend all day just arguing. Narcissists often resort to attack when they feel threatened or challenged. It's important to not take these attacks personally. Instead, focus on the issue at hand. Number 8, consider ending the conversation. Great idea. I should have done that long ago. If you find yourself caught in a circular conversation, which happened to me, it isn't productive or it's causing you distress, it may be best to end the conversation and try again later or not at all. Remember that it's okay to disengage from conversations that are harmful or unproductive. So in conclusion, narcissistic word salad can feel like a never-ending barrage of words and phrases that are difficult to follow or understand. It may seem like the person is talking in circles or going off in tangents that are nothing to do with the conversation at hand. Give it a thumbs up. The language used may be grandiose or exaggerated, which is true. There may be a lack of coherence or logical flow to the dialogue, which is true in the hit piece. It makes no sense. It can be, you leave the listeners feeling confused, frustrated, and uncertain about what the narcissist is trying to communicate. So, okay, this is by Hadia. Hadia is a counselor who's passionate about supporting individuals in their healing journey. Hadia, this is who wrote the article, not only writes insightful posts on various mental health topics, but also creates practical mental health worksheets to help both individuals and professionals. All right, so let's talk about that. Political labeling. Let's read the next article, shall we? It's fallible living. What's the next article? All right, so I saved a couple articles about Charlie Kirk's murderer. We'll start with MSNBC. We'll just quickly get through this one as an example. The worst smear campaign. And the worst thing was being called fascist by a sniper bullet. Because this guy is trying to deflect, just like in the last article, they're trying to deflect from themselves about their own problems. Because Charlie Kirk talks about the trans community, and I'm not singling people out for hate speech or anything like that, protected group, as they'll say. I'm just trying to say what's in the article. So Charlie Kirk, for MSN, Charlie Kirk, alleged assassin, lived with transgender partner who is now cooperating with FBI officials. This is a story by Brooke Singman 5 hours ago. In Fox News, they just had this. The guy's called Tom Robinson. So, exclusive. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin lived with his transgender partner. This is on MSN. I cannot make this shit up. Senior level FBI officials told Fox News Digital. Bureau officials confirmed that Tyler Robinson, 22, was in a romantic relationship with an unnamed person who was male transitioning to a female, and that they shared an apartment in St. George, Utah. Those FBI officials told Fox News Digital that Robinson's partner is fully cooperating with the FBI's investigation. One of the FBI officials told Fox that Digital that individual has been extremely cooperative. They say the person had no idea Robinson was allegedly planning to assassinate the Turning Point USA founder. The person is not currently accused of any criminal activity in connection with the assassination. But basically, why am I bringing this up? Because of the pure hypocrisy. These people are narcissistic, sociopath, cluster B personality types. I made a prediction that this will happen. This person is very confused and they're very woke. I wish I kept it because people are always criticizing me with false accusation. Oh, John's always making a psychic prediction. It was right. I said that guy's going to be alive. I said that person is going to not end himself, metaphorically speaking. I said he's going to be alive and be caught alive, and he's going to be confused. That's what I said. He's going to be woke. He's going to be a cluster B personality. It's all correct. So that's what they did. They shifted the blame. There's no more circular reasoning. There is no circular debate because he already killed Charlie Kirk, this guy. And his hypocrisy. You know how when they have hypocrisy, they try to shift the topic to somebody else. He has a trans partner. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Anyone can live their life however they want. But the person that killed Charlie Kirk for a statement or comment that he made because of his religious beliefs, ridiculous. So he's saying that he cannot have a conversation instead of a smear campaign, which I experienced from a narcissistic sociopath, that Sydney Sweeney has dealt with the far left, calling it eugenics for saying good genes for whatever his name is, Charlie Kirk, has experienced the far left using these narcissistic sociopath tactics of the cluster B personality. These are really, really hateful, demonic people. That's all I want to extract from that particular article on MSN. I have another article here from a second site, which is New York Post. Charlie Kirk alleged assassin Tyler Robinson lived with a transgender partner, a source. This is by Josh Christensen in Georgia. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin Tyler Robinson was living with a transgender partner who was in the process of transitioning from male to female, a law enforcement source confirmed to the Post Saturday. That individual has yet to be publicly identified by authorities, now fully cooperating with the FBI investigation in the fatal shooting of the conservative activist. In the relationship first reported by Fox News, Brooks Singham. According to public records, Lance Twiggs, 22, resided in the same address with where Robinson lived. Is that who he is? A relative of Twiggs confirmed to the Post Saturday that, yes, they were roommates. So here's the mugshots. The family of the member, asked not to be identified, said Twiggs was the black sheep of their St. George, Utah family, but declined to speculate a romantic relationship between the two men. She said she didn't know her relative's politics or whether Twiggs was transitioning to become a woman, but added that it would not surprise her. The family member said that she knew Twiggs brought into questioning by the police. I'm just want to point out the hypocrisy. I've been through a lot of hypocrisy because this person has so much hypocrisy. Everything that they say about me was false. They say I banned everybody, but he'd been banning me for 3 days. He says supplementation killed another student, but that's only for a stroke for alpha GPC. That it only causes stroke. The guy had a blood clot in the left lung, which is a different issue. They lied about how I banned every student. No, he's only been banned for 3 days, only banned one per year. I should not defend myself, but it's ridiculous when you deal with these smear campaigns. So that's as much as one extract from the article. The next article we're going to talk about is from Judge Anthony. He's also a person that teaches about word salads and smear campaigns. I'm not sure he's a lawyer or advisor. I think he's an advisor. So let's see what Judge Anthony have to say. I may hire this guy. A word salad narcissist use confusing and jumbled language to manipulate and control the conversation. This tactic leaves you feeling confused and unsure. In this article, you'll learn what this behavior looks like and why the narcissists use it and how to respond effectively. All right, Judge Anthony, word salad is a manipulation tactic used by narcissists to confuse and dominate conversations, leaving the victim feeling drained and to question their perceptions. The common tactic employed by a narcissist include blame shifting. Okay, that sounds familiar. Projection, this is true when they're completely full of shit. Circular arguments. Once again, the fucking word circular argument. This judge, probably some federal judge before. Circular argument, not circular reasoning. circular arguments, overgeneralizations, which obscure accountability and create frustration in the discussion. Isn't that weird? They all use the same fucking words. It's such a coincidence. How do they all know that these narcissistic word salad, sociopathic people, when they write their smear campaigns, they're using a narcissistic word salad? They're being shown here by all these articles. They're all the same. This is a pattern, not something I'm making up. It's such a coincidence. So effectively respond to the narcissistic word salad involves remaining calm, using clear language, documenting interactions, and seeking therapy and support group for recovery. What is a narcissistic sociopath word salad and narcissistic conversation? Word salads refer to the disjointed and confusing speech used by the narcissist to manipulate the conversation. Imagine trying to piece together a coherent narrative from a jumble of random words and phrases. This is what interaction with a narcissist can feel like. Narcissists often string words together in a way that confuses. These conversation lacks logic, rationality, and relevance, making it nearly impossible to have a meaningful dialogue. This often is characterized by a narcissistic sociopath word salad. The objective of the narcissistic word salad is to deny the others a voice. By introducing irrelevant comments, the narcissist distracts from the main topic and obscures their responsibility. This manipulation aims to punish those who confront them about their behavior. During these interactions, the narcissist might maintain a calm demeanor, further disorienting their conversational partner, who becomes increasingly confused and defensive. A hallmark of these conversations is the verbal chaos and disjointed thoughts. The narcissist's convoluted language serves to obscure responsibility and manipulate the discussion. This tactic is particularly insidious because it leaves the victim feeling drained, unheard, often questioning their own perceptions. Understanding this behavior is crucial for anyone involved in a narcissistic relationship, as it is a key tool for the narcissist's arsenal of psychological manipulation, which means that highlighting the meaning of their tactics. Narcissistic sociopaths are master of manipulation by employing a variety of tactics to maintain control over the relationship and conversation. These tactics are delusional to create confusion and frustration, deeply impacting communications. One of the most common tactics is blame shifting. When a narcissist diverts attention by emphasizing past wrongdoings of others, this deflection strategy helps them avoid taking responsibility for their actions. Projection is another frequent used tactic, involving narcissistic accusing others of their own misdeeds. By projecting their flaws onto others, they shift the focus away from themselves and onto their victims. Just like the Charlie Kirk assassin, these tactics can make it incredibly challenging to address grievances and maintain a healthy dialogue. So, as Judge Anthony is saying, the following subsections will delve into specific tactics used by the narcissistic sociopath. Word again, circular reasoning or circular argument, projection, and overgeneralization. Circular arguments. Circular arguments are a staple in the narcissist playbook. These conversations often involve repetitive and circular discussion that leads to frustration. Narcissists frequently revisit points without any progression, creating a loop of the same argument without introducing new information. This tactic leaves the other person feeling drained and confused, obscuring the original topic. Common tactics used to gaslight others include denial of their action or words, which has been done to me, avoiding directly answering or instead providing irrelevant information, further complicating the conversation. Yeah, they don't actually address any of the things I say. By shifting the conversation through irrelevant anecdotes, they avoid accountability for their actions. This relentless cycle of circular conversation is designed to maintain control and leave the other person feeling powerless. The lies that they tell only serves to deepen the confusion in this story. In projection. Projection is a tactic where the narcissist accuse others of their own misdeeds, deflecting blame with excuses. This distortion tactic can make it difficult for victims to address grievances. I'm the victim here. They're not the victim. As the narcissist frequently shifts blame onto others for their own negative actions. For instances, a narcissist might accuse others of lying, when in reality they are the ones being deceptive. This tactic not only distorts the conversation, but also leaves the victim questioning their own actions and thoughts. By accusing others of exhibiting the same negative behaviors they possess, narcissistic sociopaths manage to obscure their own flaws and maintain a facade of innocence. Yeah, we heard some of these before. Generalizations are sweeping statements that apply broadly to obscure specific issues. Narcissists use this technique to avoid accountability and to create confusion during conversations. For example, instead of addressing a specific concern, they might make broad claims like, you always do this, right? Like, you always ban everyone. Everyone talks this way, or everyone thinks this way, right? Basically, these rash convictions lack introspection and are characterized by a shallow and superficial knowledge, often reflecting their own opinions. Using vague language that lacks clarity, narcissists make it difficult for their conversational partners to grasp their conversation. This tactic leads to feelings of frustration and confusion as the victim struggles to address specifically their concerns amidst a barrage of overly generalized statements. The result is the conversation that feels insane. It leaves the subject questioning their own opinions of truth, reality, as if they have realized that they've been lied to. In conclusion, I guess it's clear that someone or something can happen that is a bunch of wrong ideas. The idea is that the perception of the truth can often be distorted, and how one might respond to that distortion, which can be quite ridiculous. Victims often experience a sense of frustration and feeling lost as they navigate conversations filled with contradictions. The use of narcissistic word salads can lead to significant anxiety and self-doubt, making the victims question their own perceptions. Over time, the confusion caused by this type of communication can lead to cognitive processing difficulties, making even simple tasks seem challenging. Salads often erodes trust in relationships, creating emotional distance between individuals. Repeated exposure to this communication style, or hit pieces, can result in a twisted view of reality for the victim, leading to the increased feeling of isolation. These conversations often leave the other person feeling drained and unheard. Understanding the emotions impact is crucial for recognizing the need for effective responses and seeking support. Recognizing the warning signs in narcissistic word salad is essential for protecting yourself from manipulation. The key indicators include disjointed and confusing speech. Narcissists asserting dominance, invalidating opposing views, which is like, oh yeah, you can't do this, right? You cannot punish people by banning them because they won't do their homework assignments. And broad claims like everyone knows that you should not do that. Responding effectively to narcissistic word salads require a strategic approach. One effective strategy is to rephrase the narcissist statements back to them to highlight their inconsistencies. Anthony. Therapy can also equip survivors with tools to set boundaries and improve communications in future relationships. The following subjectation will provide detailed tactics to explain staying calm and focused using clear and direct language, documenting everything and building confidence. So stay calm and focused. Maintaining composure is essential when dealing with a narcissistic sociopath. Reacting emotionally can empower their manipulation tactics. Staying calm prevents the narcissist from using your emotional reaction to manipulate the conversation. By maintaining a tranquil demeanor, you can prevent escalation tensions and keep the conversation from spiraling out of control. Jackson McKenzie, an expert on narcissistic abuse, emphasizes the importance of not letting the narcissist confuse or provoke you. Keeping a neutral tone can help you stay grounded and focus on the essence of the issue. Rather than getting caught up in the narcissistic chaotic dialogue, this approach can help you retain your sanity and avoid feeling crazy or angry. Use clear and direct language. Using clear and direct language is crucial when you're talking to a narcissist. Focusing on the best interest in a conversation prevents you from being drawn into a narcissist's manipulative tactics. By using your own words to clearly state your position or perspective, you can ensure that the conversation remains constructive. This minimizes misunderstanding and helps you communicate your needs effectively and assertively. When you speak clearly, it becomes harder for the narcissist to twist your words and confuse the issue. This approach can lead to more productive interactions and help you maintain a sense of control in the conversation. It is important to stay firm and not let the narcissist derail the discussion with their manipulative tactics. Documenting everything is an important step in dealing with a narcissist. Keeping detailed records of interactions can provide clarity and serve as a reference for future discussions. By writing down what happened, you can better understand and describe the pattern of behavior. This strategic documentation can help counteract the psychological toll of navigating a relationship with a narcissist. Effectively, documentation can also serve as a crucial evidence in legal settings and aiding in addressing narcissistic behaviors. Realizing the importance of this step can empower you to take control of the situation and protect yourself from further manipulation. By maintaining a new account of interactions, you can deal with the narcissist more effectively, ensure that you have a clear record of their behavior. Real-life examples can illustrate how narcissistic word salad manifests and impact individuals. One person experienced a narcissistic twisting their words and manipulating conversations, leading to confusion about their own actions and thoughts. In another example, the simple question often trigger a barrage of irrelevant statements and accusations from a narcissistic partner. People noted that narcissists would often misquote or deliberately misinterpret past events to control the narrative in their favor. These examples highlight the reality of dealing with narcissists and the frustration and confusion they cause. Understanding these real-life scenarios in context can help you realize the importance of recognizing and responding to a narcissistic word salad effect. The role of therapy and support groups. Therapy and support groups play a crucial role in the recovery process for the victims of a narcissistic abuse. Therapy provides a secure environment for victims to process their traumas, develop coping strategies, therapeutic approaches tailored to meet specific needs. Online therapy options enhances accessibility for individuals seeking help, allowing them to engage in the recovery from the comfort of their own home. Does that make sense? It's really important that you don't let them try to control the narrative. So basically, engage in the recovery from the comfort of their own home. Support groups are often communal spaces where individuals can share experiences and feel validated in their struggles with narcissistic abuse. Establishing boundaries is crucial when dealing with a narcissist to prevent being dragged into the chaotic conversations. These resources can provide support and tools needed to rebuild one's life experience after narcissistic abuse. Judge Anthony is a seasoned expert in family law, offers valuable insights on dealing with narcissistic in family court, and is essential to minimizing direct engagement with narcissists to avoid giving them the leverage in disputes. Thank you for being here, guys. And that's the end of today's video.